Good morning, poor exiles. As my league builds portfolio is extremely diverse, it's high time to try something new. Last week I've mentioned Fatas freezes for my 8-legged friend, preferably a warden under 5 divines budget. And that didn't end well. After 2 days of straight up theory crafting in PoB, everything looked more or less like this. So, I've opened PoE and simply started playing. As you might have noticed, I almost done what I said in last video. EK Blade Blast, full chaos conversion Occultist. Seems close enough to me. For all PoB warriors, here is what I'm sitting at right now. Damage per single blade explosion 150k. Damage per single EK cast 22 blades total 3.2 million. And effective hit pool of 130k. Not that bad. Okay, so how does the build work? First of all, let's talk about 2 core skills. Ethereal Knives of Lingering Blades, that's transfigured version of EK that pretty much leaves some food on the ground in a cone shape for you to eat later. Now, our big boy Food Eater, Blade Blast. All it does is consume lingering blades from the ground to trigger an explosion and chain reaction if other blades overlap. Simply put, cast EK as fast as possible, then Big Bomba with Blade Blast. Both skills are physical spells, but Blade Blast has additional AoE tag. We have several routes for scaling, most important is gem level as spells scale incredibly well with it. That gives us a nice base to work with. Then modifiers like spell damage, area damage, fist gained as physical damage, and scaling crit chance with crit damage through power charges. Now, you might be thinking, why the heck did I pick Occultist? If Big Pops wasn't enough for you. Both Chaos Damage and Crit Damage Cluster Jewels provide us with Overwhelming Malice skill point, granting 10% chance to gain Unholy Might for 4 seconds on crit. What is Unholy Might? Pretty much 100% of Fizz converted to Chaos. This enables us to fully utilize Void Beacon, Withering Presence and additionally scale damage of our Big Pops, cause they deal quarter of life as Chaos damage. One last thing. We can't pop if enemies are not cursed, but that's an easy fix. We can use Ring with On Hit Despair. As a real softcore player, the build doesn't have any layers of defense, of course. Nah, okay, it's not that bad, I promise, really. Number 1, I'm running CI with around 6k energy shield. It's not much, but we don't have to worry about chaos damage as we are completely immune. Additionally, we can make great use of Eldritch Implicits, which grant Fizz taken as chaos, mitigating part of Fizz damage completely. That's great. Number 2, spell and attack block with Svalin. As the shield is pretty cheap right now, I thought it's a great choice with the amount of survivability it provides. Even though my attack block is still far from getting capped, effectively I have something like 70-75% attack block and almost 90 spell block chance. This one is even overcapped. Number 3, defensive auras like Arctic Armor, Tempest Shield, Steel Skin and Frost Shield. This gives us additional Fizz reduction while stationary, extend our ES pool, provide freeze and shock immunity with additional spell block chance. That's it for now. Pretty softcore I would say, but I didn't die much, just 53 times. As I said, builds cost around 5 divines, so from now on I will be listing price of each item. Cluster Jewels. They are pretty much mandatory for us, cause they are our only source of Unholy Might. Right now I'm running 8 points Chaos Cluster with Overwhelming Malice and Touch of Cruelty for additional damage and cast speed, that's 20 Chaos. On top of that I have 2 area damage clusters with Magnifier and Vast Power as they greatly increase area of effect with 6 power charges that I'm running right now, 30 Chaos each. Moreover, impossible escape with Valpact area location to help increase attack block chance just a little bit, 20 chaos. 2 generic jewels with ES, crit multi and attributes or cast speed. That fully depends on what you need. 20 chaos each. Moving on, the gems setup. Our main link is Blade Blast, with Conk effect, added chaos, increased critical strikes, increased critical damage and level 3 empower. I didn't want to go with level 4 as it's around 4 to 4.5 divines, which is pretty expensive. Level 3 is good enough for now, 14 chaos, and 2120 Blade Blast is so cheap, it's tier cheap honestly, 5 chaos. EK setup. Ethereal Knives of Lingering Blades, with faster casting and spell echo to get as high cast speed as possible, and increased critical strikes to help proccing Unholy Might. For auras, Zealotry, Clarity, Discipline, Arctic Armor, some basic stuff. On top of that, we are using Steel Skin with automation, and for movement we have Shield Charge with faster attacks and Flame Dash. Last group is pretty much what is socketed into Sphalin, so cast on block pretty much, Frost Shield and Frost Bomb for some additional defenses. Okay, let's start with the most expensive item in the build. We are using Wand with spell damage, spell crit chance, level to all spell gems and some cast speed. I've paid around 1 divine, so 135c. Shield, it is Solin, as I said before, not much else to say, 70 chaos. All other gear is pretty basic, just rare items with either energy shield and resistance or some attributes. Body armor is 100c, it's pretty expensive. Helmet 30 chaos, gloves 50 chaos, boots with movement speed 40 chaos. We are running one ring with ES and loads of resistances plus some attributes, that's 20c. And the other ring is actually pretty important for us because we have Despair on hit and even more attributes, that's around 70 chaos right now. Second and pretty much last unique in our build is Replica Dragonfang Amulet with +3 to Blade Blast skill gems. It's again 30 chaos, really cheap. That's pretty much it in terms of investment. Everything comes up to 704 chaos, which is just a bit over 5 divines. I think you can afford that, poor Exile. Before we go into the next section, I just wanted to say thank you for the amount of feedback that you gave me in the last video. I really appreciate it, and I hope you didn't cringe hearing my voice instead of AI voiceover. If you enjoyed this type of stuff, I will be pleased if you like the video and consider subscribing. Thank you, Exiles. Okay, let's talk a bit about pros and mostly about cons of the build. Pops are fun and extremely satisfying. Running into big packs and popping them in one shot feels like dropping out of school in 3rd grade. Defenses are not on complete noob level. Even though I've died 53 times, most of these were actually the result of testing, changing gear, trying out stuff, so it feels good. I can comfortably farm T16 maps, which was one of my goals for part 1. It's definitely not lightning strike level power and Wisp Scarab strategies are gonna fuck me up hard, but I'm not complaining right now. I see some potential for scaling. There are a few routes that I want to check out, but more on that later. Now the bad stuff. Number 1 is delayed damage. EK is sufficient for small white mob packs, but to pop magic or rare monsters you need to first stack some blades and then trigger the reaction. Not everyone might like this type of playstyle. You need to aim. It might sound funny, but it's actually real pain in the ass, trust me. EK creates lingering blades either on hit or at the end of projectile lifetime, which means that you need to pick right place to trigger an explosion. Single target simply sucks. Like really sucks. Right now it's so hard to stack multiple blades in one place, especially if the enemy is running a lot. It kinda connects to the previous point, as you won't be able to explode blades easily, due to large distance between blade left on hit and the rest which were created at the end of Proch travel. Quite a few map or Eldritch Altar mods completely breaks the build. We can't run no leech, no mana regen, reduced block is dangerous, and projectiles fire in a circle makes it unplayable, like you can't explode anything. Jokes about spending 2 days in PoB theory crafting are actually not jokes, I really did that. I've tried many different things in last week. The build came through at least 5 total overalls, but I thought it's a good time to share current state with you. It is playable, it doesn't cost an arm and a kidney to get started, and it's actually quite fun. So, what are the plans? Single target damage must be addressed. Without that there is no way to farm T17s or any Pinnacle boss, at all. No way. There's one interesting combination, Blade Vortex and Blade Blast of Unloading. Not sure how it works yet, but I'm definitely gonna check that out. Number 2 is Low Life. It enables us to take advantage of Pain Attunement for 30% more spell damage, Petrified Blood for bigger effective hit pool, and probably many more mods that I'm not yet aware of. Next one, more power charges and Void Battery. With 6 or even 7 power charges, it's not really worth going this route. But I need to do some calculations to see if higher investment version with something like, I don't know, 10 power charges may outdamage current Rare Wand. There is a lot to consider, especially that on Rare Wand we can get additional Blade Blast level with combination of +1 to all and +1 to Fizz spell skill gems, which will leave us with +2 total instead of current +1. I need to do some PoB stuff later. Full elemental ailment immunity is pretty much mandatory. Right now we are immune to freeze and shock, but that's definitely not enough. Endurance frenzy charges would increase hit pool and cast speed significantly. Finding a reliable way of generating this is important next step. Last but not least, additional curse. We can get it with either Occultist passive Unholy Authority or just going for Whispers of Doom. With +1 curse we can suck at something like Assassin's Mark for additional crit chance and crit multi, or simply Blasphemy with temp chains to help with defenses. We will see how it goes later. I'm honestly surprised how the build turned out. Taking into consideration that it's my first build ever that I didn't break completely, I'm honestly happy. I was expecting something like Queen's ZDPS level, but without any defenses on top of that, so the results are great. It's playable, but definitely there is a shit ton of work to do. For next 2 or 3 days I will be focusing on 25 to 50 div version to address some of the problems that I've mentioned in previous section. You can expect an update on Wednesday or Thursday. It's gonna be rather short update video. After that I will focus on last and probably the longest video containing full leveling guide, all important milestones and progression. I hope you enjoyed this one. I check comments on a daily basis, so if you want to leave some feedback, any suggestions or improvements to the build, comment section is all yours. I will be glad to read all of them and answer. Thanks a lot for watching and see you next week, poor Exiles.